Hey everyone, it's Tori Nook. Welcome back to the Tori Nook Talk Show, where we have meaningful conversation with inspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, wellness leaders, and visionaries who are making an impact in the world. And I'm your host, Tori Nook. And today I'm excited to welcome a guest whose work is deeply aligned with healing, emotional freedom, subconscious transformation, and helping people release what has been holding them back. Today, we're talking about the power of EFT tapping, hypnotherapy, anxiety, emotional blocks, personal healing, and what happens when your healing journey becomes the path that allows you to help others. And I'm so honored to have my guest, Liz Fisher, on, who is the owner of Tap Into Health. She is an EFT practitioner, a clinical hypnotherapist, an author, and a podcast host as well. So, welcome to the show, Liz.
Hi, Tori. Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
I know. I'm very excited. So I'd give some background on Liz. She is an EFT International Accredited certified practitioner. And why don't you tell the guests what that is? Because a lot of people don't know what EFT is.
Right. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, otherwise known as tapping. And it is a form of releasing energy that is trapped in your body that's maybe been there since before you were even born, that you don't even know about. But it's very powerful. It relies on acupressure points that are based and founded in Chinese medicine. If you've ever seen an acupuncturist chart.
Mhm.
So we're tapping on 9 of those points, and we're talking at the same time about what that block is and feels like for you. And when we tap, the energy kind of unsticks itself and leaves the body, hopefully, within a few sessions. And it's really powerful. And you don't have to be with a practitioner to use it. So
Mhm.
that's the other good thing about it.
So I thought to give a little background on you two, just to back up. So for all the listeners, Liz and I are second cousins on my mom's side. And it's funny because you and I are both very into holistic health, alternative healing, etc. And I think it's awesome that you went from being a graphic designer for many years. And when did you decide to even jump into pivoting into this new career? And
Yes.
you don't just do EFT. I mean, we're going to dive into hypnosis and other things.
Yeah, so that has to do with intuition, which we're
Right.
both familiar with.
Right.
So a little bit of even farther back than that, when I was 8 years old, I developed something called trichotillomania, which no one knew what it was back then. They thought it was an OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. It
Yeah.
is now classified as a body-focused repetitive behavior, and it is the act of someone pulling out their hair
Oh my God.
and they can't stop. So this was me starting at 8 years old. I'm also a highly sensitive person, and my parents were about to get divorced, and it was kind of a bad situation that I was in. I used this pulling, I realized, to kind of keep myself safe from what was going on in my personal life at that time. But then the behavior turned into an addiction. So it started with my eyelashes and ended up with my hair.
Hmm.
And by the time, oh geez, I think I was 20, I had to wear a full blown wig. I had no hair on my head. And this was a problem that I was able to, with willpower, stop at points during my life. But the reason it came back around was this was after my second son was born, my second and final child.
Hmm.
And this is back in 2014. When I was nursing him, I began pulling while I was sitting in the nursing chair because I was exhausted. He never slept. I was up 24/7,
Yeah.
like he was colicky. It was terrible. And I started pulling my hair really badly. And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to take any medications. I'm nursing. What can I do? And I had these big bald spots, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to wear a wig. So I've got to think of something fast. And I remember sitting in the middle of the night in the nursing chair and Googling with one hand ways to stop trichotillomania without drugs. And EFT came up, and I thought, I don't know what this is, but I'm willing to try anything. I
Right.
found a couple of videos on YouTube. I taught myself how to do it. and I didn't pull my hair for 3 whole months. And I thought, what? This is crazy. Like, how could I have no urges, not care? And then it was around Thanksgiving time, and it's kind of a stressful time for anyone, but a stressful situation for anyone that has divorced parents.
Right.
And the holidays are always kind of yikes. So I started pulling again, and I thought, why did this happen? I'm going to find someone locally here in Cleveland to help me. And I found my trainer, Betsy Muller, who is in Strongsville.
Mm-hmm.
I went to her house and I told her, hey, I have this thing. And she didn't know what it was. She said,
Yeah, I
I
never
don't know.
either.
I didn't know if I can, I don't know if I can help you, but I can show you how to tap.
Mm-hmm.
So she did show me, and I was doing it correctly, but she was also a trainer, and I was really intrigued. I thought there's something behind this that works, because there's nothing in my whole life that has ever helped except for this. So, and I tried a lot of drugs. I tried all kinds of other things as a young adult that
Mm-hmm.
really were not effective. So, she was this trainer. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a class with her and see what it's like. I took a class in 2014. I really liked it. And like you said, I had been an artist for 20 plus years in big corporate companies that also, I developed all kinds of other problems from having those corporate jobs. I
Right. We're
developed,
not going to
yeah,
name names where you work, but yeah.
I know. Severe panic disorder. I also had, I would have panic attacks regularly for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
So I was suffering from that at the time. I also had something called emetophobia, which I also had since I was a child, which is the fear of throwing up. I
Okay.
had a traumatic situation happen in the bedroom where I shared a room with my sister, and she got sick, and it did me in. So I had compiled this whole variety of problems that were really holding me back from living my best life. And so when I told my husband, hey, I want to switch careers, he was like, well, what are you talking about? And this is when I knew my intuition was right. I had a friend of mine who I hadn't talked to in a long time that I worked with. She reached out to me and said, will you do a website for me? And these classes to get certified were $3,000. And I thought, I don't want to do this website. I really don't even do websites anymore. I'm really not even working because I'm with my babies. And I thought to myself, you know what? If I'm going to ask her for $3,000 to do this website, and if she says yes, then I'm taking this training to get certified. And she said yes. I did her website, and I went on to get trained. And during that training, when I was able to resolve my hair pulling for good. So I worked with another trainer at the time. We had to work on something personally that we wanted to change during our certification. So mine
Mm-hmm.
was my hair pulling. I found someone, the only other person I know, she's in Pittsburgh. Her name is Joan Kaler. I worked with her for 4 sessions, and she knew so many intricate details about this disorder that she was able to form these setup statements. And it just something clicked, and it resonated with me, and all of a sudden the urges went away, and I never did it again
Did
after
you
3 sessions.
did you know that
So
Jack Canfield does EFT? That was the first time I ever heard of it.
the chicken soup for the soul guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah. And that was the first time I ever heard of EFT. I was listening to a podcast that he was on, and he was talking about it, and I thought, well, here's another rabbit hole for me to go down. But I never have actually consistently done it, but there have been times where I have used EFT just for anxious type reasons, and it does work. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's been around since the late 80s. It was invented by Gary Craig, who was a
Mhm.
Stanford trained engineer. And it was based off of something called TFT, which was thought field therapy, that was something that was going on at the time, a little bit different than cognitive behavioral therapy,
Okay.
but it was very complicated. TFT was very complicated. So Gary was able to kind of dial everything in in a very usable way for people.
Okay.
So he just passed away this past February. He's been very active in the EFT community ever since, and
Mhm.
yeah, put out a lot of information, a lot of studies. But what EFT actually does is it lowers your cortisol level, which is produced in your amygdala, which is the lower back part of your brain. And when cortisol rises, our body, it goes into fight, flight, or freeze. So it's trying to protect us from something, like if you're a wild animal out in the forest and something comes up behind you, you get scared and you run.
Right.
So when you tap, it actually re-engages your prefrontal cortex, which is your decision-making center, and it lowers the cortisol so that you can focus and you're not offline. So basically, when you're offline, when you have too much cortisol, your prefrontal cortex is offline and can't make a decision.
Right.
So this re-engages your prefrontal cortex and helps you be in the present moment instead of fearing something that happened in the past that your subconscious is continually bringing up.
Right. That's fascinating. And I'm curious, like with your clients that come to you for EFT, because I know you've helped a lot of people, what is the biggest reason people come?
So when I started my practice, my focus is on people with, this hair pulling disorder. So I do see like 90% of my practice is people that have a body focused repetitive behavior of some sort. I even wrote a book on how I use this technique with my clients to help them. But I also see people who have panic disorder. I also see a lot of people that have emetophobia, which is that fear of throwing up.
Really?
And I do. And when I was doing my clinical, I had to have 50 hours of clinicals with 25 different people. They were all emetophobia people. So I had a lot of work with them up front. And I also work with people that have any type of generalized anxiety disorder. I'm working with someone right now that has fear of driving on the freeway. I've also helped people with performance anxiety. I've worked with horse jumpers, like your daughter is horse jumpers to improve their performance. I've worked with animals. Specifically, I've tapped on horses and dogs and cats. So honestly, you can use it for anything and everything. But I feel called to help those groups that I mentioned because I know them so well. And the more specific you can be about something, the better tapping works. I'm actually doing some stuff with perimenopause right now because I'm going through that, which is lovely in itself. But tapping really helps with perimenopause. So I'm doing a bunch of focused little groups around Cleveland this summer to teach women how to tap for perimenopause symptoms.
Now, when a client comes to you, do you wind up just showing them? Do you send them like recordings, what to do? Like, how does it work?
So when a client comes to me, if they've never tapped before, I explain what it is, just like we just did. And then we talk about the first time that thing that they're wanting to work on happened. And it might have been 20 years ago. But a memory, something that is a trauma, like a little T trauma, I would call like someone bullies you in school and now you feel less than in your job, something like that. But a big T trauma would be a death or something of that nature. And I do see people that have that kind of trauma as well. Or you moved schools, or your parents got divorced or something like that. So there's usually something that we go back to start with. And we start clearing these big blocks. And we also work on showing them how to tap correctly and then getting them to tap consistently when they're not with me. So 5 minutes a day is all I ask my clients to do. But I always send them off with homework. I do record my sessions if you agree and upload them on a private server so that no one has access to it. And then you can go back and view the recordings. So if there's stuff that we went over together that you would like to use, you can do that. But it matters how hard you want to change something or try to change something when I'm working with a client. They usually come to me as a last resort. They've tried everything. So they're pretty willing to do the work. Not that everyone I've been with has had success, but they're definitely better off than when they came. And a lot of people have gotten over the problem. I mean, 95% of my clients I don't see anymore because they got over whatever they came to see me for.
Well, that's what I was even wondering. Because I mean, how long would somebody work with you on this typically?
It depends. Everyone is different. Like it
Right.
takes about 4 sessions to notice a shift in a behavior or a
Mhm.
change in a belief. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I forgot to do that thing, or oh, that thing doesn't bother me anymore. I forgot about it, just out of the blue.
Mhm.
Um, but everyone's different. I've worked with clients for hair pulling for years.
Mhm.
These are clients that have had severe traumatic pasts. I've worked with people with emetophobia for years, but these are people that have also had very traumatic lives prior to
Right.
that. So it just depends. Some people I've worked with for 4 sessions or 2 sessions, and they're like, I'm good.
Oh.
So everyone is different.
And then is it usually like after you work on EFT a couple days, does it go away when you feel, say you're anxious? Like if it's coming back again, you just use your tool set, you know what to do and you just do it. It's not something you have to do every day to keep it away, right?
No. And that's the cool thing about EFT. Like once my hair pulling was done and over with, like I just didn't have these urges. It's like smoking a cigarette or having a drink of alcohol.
Right.
The urge went away. So then you don't need to tap about it anymore. You can
And that
tap about something else.
which is really cool because I think people don't realize there's a lot of people also lack confidence too.
Yeah.
And that's something I know being in the horse world, because, people know me or follow me know that my daughter rides. And Liz has helped with a lot of equestrians who I know or don't know in that arena. And just getting over fears with riding is it is a dangerous sport and it is scary, what you're doing. And it's interesting that you could overcome even fears, confidence, all that with you.
Yeah. And definitely. And a lot of the girls that I've worked with, jumpers, they have fallen
Oh, I
and
know,
have
and
been
it's
afraid. And
real.
then the horse is also has a fear because of the way the rider is reacting.
Right.
So that's when I've been into the barn to tap on horses, and it's worked amazingly with the horses who have these anxieties
Mhm.
over, oh no, I don't want to screw up again. I don't want to fall. So, yeah.
No, I think people don't realize like animals and humans, I mean, we're all mammals and it's so much of what we do is useful for them too. I mean, even just thinking of the barn, like we have acupuncturists that come for the horses. They have their own little beamer mats that are on their backs after riding. I mean, seriously, they have chiropractors that come, which I never even heard. I think we're just more advanced now than
Yeah.
in the past and
Hmm.
realize all this works on all of
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is what was it really like moving from your own healing journey, which is in a way, I'm not saying it's a lot of work to everything's work. I mean, we're going to work on ourselves so we die, but it's one thing to heal yourself with someone else, right? And go through that journey, but then to move into helping other people, that's like a big difference. Like how do you feel about it? Because you do have to differentiate. You can't get involved with exactly what they went through, but you have to help them with what they need help with.
Yes. So there's the code of ethics and EFT. You have to be continuously working on yourself. And I had to clear a list of everyone has to do something called a personal peace procedure when you are in training. You have to list every traumatic thing that you can think of from the time you were born and up until the present. And you have to go through and clear all of those. I had hundreds and hundreds on legal pads. Okay. And I thought, this is insane. Like, I'm never going to get through this.
Yeah.
So, the cool thing about EFT is that once like, I can look back at maybe one or two of those that were really traumatic. And
Hmm.
if I tapped on just those two that really stood out to me, a lot of times I could look back at my list and the things that I wrote down that were bothering me, I didn't care about them anymore. So a lot of times groups of things will fall away from your past, even if you don't tap on them specifically.
Interesting.
So I had to do that work. Every EFT practitioner that goes through EFTI International Training, which is the gold standard method, it's how Gary Craig trained people. You have to do that personal peace procedure, and you have to continue to work on yourself as you're working with clients. So like I'm constantly like I have to sage the energy in my office, and I have to I tap to before I get on with someone to ground myself, or I do some grounding techniques, or I mean, then if I had a really rough conversation or, session with someone that was really, a lot of times they're very emotional, it will drag my emotion. It will be I'll be a basket case out of this session and have to go lie down. So
Right.
there are things that you have to do to support yourself. You really have to trust your intuition,
Mhm.
and you have to, there's so much self-care involved in helping other people
Mhm.
that it almost feels, actually it felt to me for a really long time like it was selfish. But now I've been doing this since 2015, and it's like, you know what? I have to do this or I can't help my clients. And I also only see a certain amount of people a day. I know
Right.
my limit with
Mhm.
people and energy, and it's it's a lot.
Well, I think the thing is, it's like any job, like you have to know your limits, right?
Right.
So to handle them. What do you think the biggest thing people misunderstand about emotional healing?
Um, I think that they're skeptical of it
Mhm.
because there's one client that comes to mind that she wasn't skeptical necessarily, but
Yeah.
she had been to a doctor for frozen shoulder
Okay.
for um, a year. And she came to see me when she was at her wit's end. She couldn't lift her arm.
Mhm.
She the the person she was seeing was very intuitive and said, "I feel like this problem with your shoulder is emotional. It doesn't have to do with something physical. We've done everything we can for you. So go see someone that can help you emotionally." So she found me, and we were sitting in my office in Cleveland here. She came to my home,
Mhm.
and we did one. She told me a little bit of what was going on in her life. I asked you, tell me what's going on. She said, my son, who is my oldest, is leaving for college, and after this summer, and this was almost 9 years ago, probably. And he was very dependent on her and had a lot of health issues. So she was real afraid to let him go, to move states away, go to college. And she had just had this fear. And we realized that I asked her how she felt about that. And she said, I have a broken heart about it. I'm literally broken. So we tapped about her having a broken heart for that 1 hour in my office, and she could lift her arm before she left.
Well, that's an amazing story. Is this like,
Yeah.
because I know you have like you've had hundreds of clients. You have published case studies of your work. I mean, is this one of them? I mean, that's
This
amazing.
this one isn't published. My emetophobia work is published, but
Okay.
I could write about this and have it published. There isn't enough hours in the
'Cause
day
that's
for me
something
to
I
write
know.
about
That's,
all
and
these
that's
things.
something though too, like in the book, my book that's coming out, Intuitive Certainty, like in December. I mean, that is something I talk about, is physical ailments that aren't, what people don't realize is like, and is like the word disease means dis-ease. Like your last thing that's talking to you is your body. When you don't heal, get your spiritual health in line first, then your mental health, mental and emotional, and then physical. And then your physical goes when you don't have those other three in order.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And it's hard for people to understand that
It
sometimes.
is, but it's true, right?
Yeah,
I mean, look at how
totally true.
people just keep, it's not like you don't need to go to the hospital for things, obviously, but there's so many people there where so much of their stuff is so
Right.
fixable
They're
out
just
there. You don't
medicated.
need yeah, exactly. And they're just putting band-aids on nothing that,
Yeah.
not nothing, but something very significant that can't be solved with it.
Yeah, well, that gives me an idea for another book. Now that you just said. Now I could write a book about all of these experiences that I've had with clients, and their healing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's amazing.
It is
With young
amazing.
children too, I've had some amazing experiences and healings
Well, that
happen.
was something I was going to bring up next, is EFT, because I also know I have a friend who's done EFT a lot with her son when he was little, and it works with kids as well,
Oh yeah,
very
and
well.
yeah, you don't even have to have them tap per se, because even my 12-year-old, I still tap on him. So if he's having a meltdown over something, I'm tapping on his points and telling him, take some deep breaths, let's do some box breathing, whatever we're going to do here to calm you down. But 9 times out of 10, it works. And I use it the most when he has hiccups, because when this kid gets hiccups, I don't know, they last for like 2 days. But 9 times out of 10, I have been able to tap his hiccups away within minutes. It's just to be able to get him to calm and to get his cortisol lowered to where he's out of that fight, flight, or freeze, or like we call it in the red, like red brain. Kids just get really disconnected really quickly because their prefrontal cortexes aren't developed until fully developed till they're 25.
Right.
So, I mean, it's still, even teenagers too. My oldest son had some bullying issues in school, and we did some tapping one-on-one, and he did the tapping himself, but we had multiple sessions where he tapped about how he felt about this bullying. And he said, Mom, that helped me so much. You have no idea. So it's also a matter of being able to use this with kids so that they don't compile this baggage that they'll take with them for their whole life.
Right.
So thank gosh I have this that I could use with my boys and say, hey, you don't have to ever worry about that again. So I'm so sorry that happened to you, but we're going to clear it. You'll still remember it, but it won't feel traumatic to you. And that's what I'm so thankful. I wish I had that when I was young,
We all do. And then think of like all the relationships we have, whether they've been work or personal. Like the biggest battle has been, I'm dealing with their trauma from their childhood, or their mom or their dad or their bullying in school, or whatever the heck happened to them. And they can't let it go. And it's not ever saying you're not going to forget a traumatic experience. We all have them. Like nobody's just, we have all different types, depending on the person, because we're all different people. But the thing is you're not going to forget it, but you could let it go to move on, move on, like literally move on from your
part
past.
of you. Yeah. It's a part of your past. It happened, but we don't have to dwell on it, and it doesn't have to live in your body and take up space, like that energy. So that's why these, we're talking and tapping at the same time. And I'm coming up with these scripts that talk about, what you're feeling, how your body feels, how you felt, the emotions that you had about that specific thing. And that's very, very important in tapping. So it's like talk therapy plus it's kind of CBT-ish. I mean, it's talk therapy, but with the added bonus of being able to access the energy. That's
those meridian lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing. And that's another thing I talk about in my book too, is like energy, like we're energy, like you can't kill energy. Right. And this, even Chinese medicine, like it's been practiced for thousands of years. Meridian lines are real. And, being able to tap into just adjusting that energy level. Like you don't want to have like the energy of anger. You want the energy of peace. Right. I mean, or what the whole reason anyone goes to anybody who is a practitioner in the healing arts is to get to peace and no pain.
Right. Exactly.
So in 2024, you decided to become certified to be a clinical hypnotherapist. What led you to add that on to your work?
So that was also intuitive, because I felt like I had done some hypnosis personally. So I knew that it worked, but when I'm working with people that have these addictive behaviors like hair pulling, and it is so hard to change behavior like that, because I liken it to, like I said, it's like an alcoholic having to have a drink. It's like us, having to smoke a cigarette every half hour on the, it's very, very hard to stop. So being able to access your subconscious, because when we are doing tapping, we are accessing our subconscious by tapping these points and recalling past things, experiences that have happened to us. When we are doing hypnosis, we are in a state of relaxation that is so much deeper than EFT. And we can put in positive affirmations that our subconscious grabs onto about that specific thing. So I really got certified for my hair pulling clients, and it has helped tremendously. So I'll do a session. Sometimes we'll start with EFT. Sometimes we'll start with hypnosis. Sometimes we'll do a whole session of EFT, and then I'll record a hypnosis for them after our session, so I can like dial in what the script should be for the hypnosis. Then I'll text it to them after the fact, and they can listen to it for a week. The really cool thing with hypnosis is it goes into your subconscious. You don't really even have to be paying attention to it, but you're deeply relaxed, like even more relaxed than if you were meditating. And your subconscious grabs onto these new beliefs, and it can take, your body is still processing what it heard for up to 10 days after you hear. So it's continuously, I hear from people, oh, I felt really good after our session, but like 4 days later, I felt even better. And then I forgot to do that behavior altogether. I don't even believe it, but I stopped doing it. And it really, a lot of times stuff will come up during tapping that we can do some hypnosis for. And a lot of times some stuff will come up in hypnosis that we can use EFT to clear. So they work really well together. I have clients who I see for both at the same time. I have clients that just like to see me for hypnosis and just like to see me for EFT. So it doesn't matter. But yes, I do both, and it really works. And I use self-hypnosis all the time. If there's something I'm going through, I just record it and then I listen to it.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Do you find that people often know what they want to change, but their subconscious patterns just keep pulling them back into the same cycle? Or does it really break? Or does it depend on the issue?
A lot of times when someone comes to me, they know that there's something that they want to change. So there's a pattern there. And that's the really cool thing about EFT, because the more you do it, if you picture like this loop in your brain that keeps going around and around doing the exact same thing, the more you tap, your neural pathways are actually changing while you're tapping. So at some point, it's like some scissors come in and cut that circle and break the habit. So it actually, there are fMRI studies, which is like an MRI, where you can see the brain chemistry change just from 2 minutes of tap.
Wow. That's why.
Yeah, it's fairly powerful.
What does it look like when someone starts to clear an emotional block suddenly and has more freedom in their life? Like, do they just feel lighter? I'm assuming, like, do their relationships change? What's happening?
Yeah. So these are the cool things that I can see visually, and this works the same over video as it does in person. Your energy is still connected when we're working via Zoom or whatever. So there are a lot of ways that I see people release, and a lot of ways that you are releasing energy when we're working together. So it's kind of funny, because when I'm working with clients, a lot of times they'll burp or they will yawn. Those are forms of release. It happens while we're tapping. They're like burping or yawning.
Really?
Yeah. Some people will laugh. I've had that happen to me personally, where I'm laughing so hard that I can't even apologize for laughing, because I don't even really know why I'm laughing, but it's a release. And then a lot of times people cry. That's probably the number one, is a lot of emotion. But I can actually physically see, and we can tap that energy. Like some people will say it starts in my stomach, and we can tap it until it keeps going up and up. And we can tap it to come out of the top of your head, out of your mouth, out of your ears, out of your nose. I've seen it. Or it can go down and through your feet, out your fingertips. So wherever it ends up, I mean, it usually makes itself very well known. And we can do that in a session, really, even. So it's pretty cool. You give a number of intensity when you're tapping. So before you start, if someone says, oh, I have this going on, I'll say, give it a number from 0 to 10. 10 would be the most intense this feeling is. And the idea with working with someone one-on-one is to be able to get that number down to a 0, to where nothing is upsetting to them when I mention it. There's a lot of ways to do it. It's not just tapping. There are techniques that I'm taught to do for tapping that you wouldn't get just finding it online and doing it like only a practitioner would know. So
Right.
there's techniques that I use that can test just to make sure that energy has moved on, to make sure it's not attached to another issue, or that there aren't, some tail enders that are coming up that are going to
Yeah.
come up. And, so it's very intricate, really. It's not just,
It's interesting.
there are layers. It's like peeling
Mhm.
an onion, right?
Right.
There's layers.
What are some signs that, like other signs that emotions or belief or like memories may be stuck in the body that you've personally seen other than like the shoulder situation? it
Oh, so a woman came to me once
Mhm.
where she could not lie down. She had a fear of laying down
Oh boy.
because
Okay.
she felt like she was choking.
Hmm.
So she was probably in her early 60s, and this was a few years ago. She had a hypnotist. She went to hypnosis and had some hypnosis done.
Hmm.
And during her hypnosis came up this memory or this past life that she had.
Hmm.
And that's what she came to me for. She said, I was a man in like the Civil War in a past life, and I saw myself as a teenager get run over by a tank up to my neck, she said. And it felt like that's what's choking me, and that's why I can't lie down. And this woman had like all kinds of, she couldn't go to the dentist because she couldn't lay back in the chair. She had cataracts. She hadn't driven in 10 years because she couldn't see, but she had to lay down for the surgery, so she couldn't get the surgery, which she really wanted to do. So we were able to go back to that past life experience as with her as a man
Hmm.
and tap through. I mean, it took probably 6 or 8 sessions, but she was able to drive. She got her cataract surgery and she went to the dentist. And all within, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months of working
Hmm.
with her.
Yes. I know a lot of people don't believe in past lives, or it depends on your religion, but it's interesting how a lot of issues that people have that they can't put their finger on in this life, how hypnosis into past lives clears a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. But this woman had all these problems that she couldn't live her life. So, I mean, we were able to clear those with the tapping. And there's no way she would have been able to do that. And, you know,
Right.
if she hadn't done the work with me, I mean, maybe she could have with willpower or something, but I don't know how it would have been tolerable.
Oh,
So,
I know. I mean, that's like a whole other story. That's how I like stop picking like the like my nails is you just got to dig deeper, right?
yeah. Well,
There's just solutions for
that's body
everything.
focused repetitive behavior. That the nail. I work with people that pick their nails
I did
too.
that when I was a
So
kid, and I honestly, I don't even know why.
it's
Because
probably you probably don't need to know. It's
I
just
know I do know why, because I
oh,
did do past life therapy
okay, okay, good. So
because
you
it
know,
wasn't anything of this life, and it went
okay,
away. It stopped
perfect.
immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hypnosis does work. Um, what do you hope that I was thinking like with I wanted to switch gears and go into like your podcast and the message you're sharing because you started your podcast Tap into Health in 2023. Like what inspired you to even do the podcast on top of like everything else like you're doing?
You know, well, like you do.
Me, I
We
don't
give ourselves any more things on
I
our
know.
plate. I don't have any time to even go to the bathroom. No.
No.
So the reason I started the podcast was because um, I felt like I just had a good story,
Mhm.
and I want people to know that this works. And if I could get the message out there about EFT and what it's helped me with and what it's helped my clients with, that if someone could get free or move forward in their life because of the
100%.
information that
Yeah.
I I put out there, then that was enough for me. I mean, my husband's on the other end going, wait a second, how much is this producer going to cost? And you're doing what? And how much money are you going to make? Well, I do get referrals from people that have heard my podcast,
Right.
and it's called Tap into Health, and it's on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I interview a lot of different people. We do some tapping together. We talk about CBT versus EFT, We talk about, I think I've had, I mean, people that use it for cancer survivors, or people that are going
Mhm.
through cancer, all kinds of stuff. I mean, so nothing is off topic. It's not all about hair pulling or body focused repetitive behaviors. My podcast is anything and everything you can imagine that has to do with
Health.
EFT.
Yeah. Which is very fun, and it's very cool because you could look at all your episodes and pinpoint something that you're
Yeah,
interested in.
that
Usually,
works for you. Yeah, fear of flying is on there. Anxiety, holiday anxiety. I mean, all kinds of stuff's on there.
people ever come to you for real addictions, drug or alcohol? Is EFT solvable for that level of addiction? I mean, we just talked about other addictions, but
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't have anyone personally that I've ever
okay.
but worked with, and I probably would say I don't know enough about the alcoholism aspect of it, but it
Mhm.
is. I do work with people that have this level of addiction with pulling and nail biting and
Mhm.
skin picking.
Mhm.
Um,
More
but it,
bodily like things,
yeah,
addiction,
uh-huh.
not good.
And yes, it is absolutely solvable. And I have other practitioners that are trained specifically to work with people with alcohol and drug addictions that I can refer out to. So it's not that this isn't, it's just something that I don't
That's not off
specifically work
limits
with.
for an EFT
It's not
practitioner.
off limits. No,
Okay.
nothing is off limits when it comes to
Mhm.
this. I mean, I also have had clients that have had severe sexual trauma, been, with have had family members involved with, all kinds of stuff like that. And
Right.
although I can't personally relate to it, it's what started the disorder. So I know at least how to
Right.
work through it.
Mhm.
So we can realize, hey, this is why you started doing this, because you were afraid of your dad coming into your room at night or
Right.
whatever. So it's, things that there is an area of expertise that I have, and otherwise I can give you someone that that
Exactly.
is better suited to work with you than I am for whatever that is.
You and I talk a lot about intuition. How did you learn, to trust your intuition? Like, because I feel like, we're similar in age and you don't even know what it is because, we were growing up, no one even talked about it.
Oh, they didn't. But you know what? When I look back at this journey and how it all came about for me, I I knew early on that I was intuitive. I
Mhm.
had dreams that came true, like things that happened to people that I knew. I'd dream about it and then it would
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
I also had a dream journal very early on where I would write down what I dreamt and then research what that was. That was back in the 80s. Um, I remember one of my cat growing up was sick
Mhm.
and had cancer, and I found someone to do Reiki on him. He would come to the house and do Reiki
Mhm.
um, on my cat, and everyone thought I was insane. And that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of times where, and I always had crystals, I always liked essential
Right.
oils. I was always surrounded with that type of stuff. My mother was, very holistic type person as well, and grew up in that 60s 70s era, raising kids and all of that. And I think I got some of that from her. But when I look back at it, I also think that my mom's mom was, I got a lot from her. She was Greek, 100% Greek. Her family was like, came over on the boat, and she was real intuitive, but I didn't realize it until after she was gone. She had this sense about her, and she was very she just had this knowing about her, and I think that I probably got that from her
Mhm. Yeah.
without realizing it, because um I don't know, everyone has intuition. It's just a matter of trusting yourself to use it.
To use it and
Yeah,
right. And listen to that silent voice when you're silent,
right.
the monkey mind going
Hmm.
bananas. Being a wife, a mom, and dog mom too. How is like your healing work influence like the way you show up to your family life?
Oh gosh, way different than,
Than
the
here.
crazy woman that was,
Yeah.
when my boys were little. And I feel so bad about this too. When I look back, it's like, here I had emetophobia, which is the fear of throwing up, which kids are throwing up all the time. And here's me throwing a sick baby to my husband and like locking myself in a room for a week until this kid was not sick anymore. I mean, there were so many things about me that were, I wish I hope my kids don't remember any of that. But
I know,
all
right?
of that, I hope I didn't give them any of that. But oh gosh, when I look back, it's like, how did I live like that? It just seems it was such a burden. It was so not fun. I mean, now I'm present, and I'm not living in fear of something all the time. I'm not, it's just a completely different way to live your life when you decide to just, hey, I'm going to do the work for this instead of swallowing it. I'm going to do the work. So it changes the way I parent my kids too. And when I see something happen, like I make sure, hey, let's take care of that with however we want to, but let's take care of that. So it doesn't pop up in the future 20 years from now.
Right.
So it's really a different way of living. And like I said, when I look back, I think, oh gosh, I was suffering. I was suffering through that stage of my life.
Same here. I mean, I think we've all suffered through because we didn't have the tools at all, because all we had was books, watch a TV show if the right one came on. Now we have endless amounts of podcasts and blogs and social media to lead us to where we need to go and not have to suffer like the way we used to when there were solutions to all these things. What do you feel like self-care looks like for you now compared to your earlier life?
Oh my gosh. I remember when I was working with Joan Kaler, who I mentioned earlier, when I was getting certified,
Yeah.
About my hair pulling, and her asking me this question, like, what would you want to do if you could take care of yourself? What would you want to do? And I said, I just want to lie down and take a nap. Like, I just want to lie down. And she said, okay, why don't you do it then? And I said, because my husband will think I'm not working hard enough and I feel guilty. But my body was telling me, lie down, you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And so from then on, and that was, back in 2015-ish sometime,
Mm-hmm.
I have never not taken a nap when I wanted to take a nap. And I told my husband, this is how I heal and how I rejuvenate myself. And because I'm highly sensitive and because I work with people's energy, if I feel like I have to lie down for 20 minutes, don't make me feel guilty about it. And he never did again.
That you could even do it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's like my favorite way to take care of myself is to take a nap.
Is that your way of crowning yourself is taking a nap?
It is.
I think naps are really important. I wish we were more like Spain and had siestas. Would be nice. I think I'd be a much happier person.
I know, definitely. I mean, even if I don't fall asleep, just to take that time to reset. And sometimes I'm listening to something. I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to a frequency or something, that is relaxing to me. But that's just my way to be like, I'm a person that drives with no radio or anything on because I just want the silence.
Yeah, I get it. Well, kind of just to wrap up here, I'm going to do some closing questions.
Sure.
So tell me, what does emotional freedom mean to you? Because we're talking about the emotional freedom.
Yeah, emotional freedom means to me that you've made a decision to do the work, no matter what it takes, and be willing to continuously work. Like you said, we're going to be working until we're dead, basically, on ourselves. So, knowing that, hey, if this happens in my life, I'm going to show up for myself, and I'm going to use this toolbox of things that I have lined up for me, and I can move through it. It's feelings and emotions are temporary. So if you can get past them by using some tapping or another somatic method, it's going to save you from so much pain in the future.
I love it. Yeah. And then for people who are listening who feel stuck with like anxiety, fear, shame, whatever, you know, bad addiction patterns that they've got
Hmm.
going on that they
Hmm.
can't seem to break, what would you want them to hear?
That it's not, you don't have to listen to the people out there that say it's not curable, it's a disease, it's an
Hmm.
illness, it's never. That's what I was told about my hair pulling. It's
Hmm.
not curable. There's not enough, you know, research on it, or you're just going to have to live with it.
Right.
Don't believe that, because you can change anything you want to if you put your mind to it.
Hmm.
And there's no limit to what you can do. So don't listen to anyone, any of the skeptics. Um, you know, do some research, find out what makes sense for you, and do it. If you don't want to stay stuck, you don't have to.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. It's mindset and you don't need to stay stuck. We're in a free country. You could do whatever you want, stay stuck
Do
or
it.
not. Is there like a simple tapping practice that could shift people that they could even do today with themselves?
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, the easiest thing is, I tell my clients, when you're not with me, you don't have to tap on all the points. You don't have to do it the exact right way. Just do something.
Okay.
There's finger tapping. So even just tapping these acupressure points on the side of your fingers, it's like
Oh,
the
I can't
inside
see
part.
you.
Oh, sorry, like the
There you go.
inside part of your finger.
Like that.
So with your thumb. Yep. Hmm.
Okay.
You can do that under a table somewhere. If you're,
Okay.
under your desk, if
Hmm.
you're having experiencing anxiety, you can touch a point. This is my favorite point, under the nose point, and just breathe. Just hold and breathe. It's
And you just press your index finger right above your lip.
Yep. You can do what. There's the chin point. So the tapping points go from top to bottom: top of the head, eyebrow point,
Right.
side of
Hmm.
the eye, under the nose, the
Hmm.
chin point, the collarbone point, and then under the arm. So
Okay.
any of those points. Or if you feel yourself getting revved up about something, all you have to do is tap one point for a minute and say, you know what, this is temporary. I can I I'm allowed to feel these emotions. They're part of everyone. They're
Hmm.
normal. And it's only temporary. I can do this.
I like that
So
because you're like not hypnotizing yourself, but you're saying it's okay to have the
it's
feelings, which
okay.
is
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
but it's not permanent. And
Right. Ride it like a wave. Feel
mhm,
the uncomfortableness. It's going to feel bad,
you're writing your
but
script, what you're
yeah,
saying.
but let it
Mhm.
go. And you're in control. I've got this. It's not going to kill me. It's going to make me
Yeah,
stronger, you know, anything like that.
I love it. So what's next for you personally, professionally?
Oh my gosh. We
Practice
always have so
asking,
much stuff
what?
going on.
I know.
Yeah, I just wrote this book, Breaking Free from Trichotillomania with EFT, a self-help guide that's available on Amazon or on my website.
Okay.
Um, and that book is I'm actually turning into a masterclass for other EFT practitioners so they can learn my technique, so that they can help people that come to them with a body focused repetitive behavior. So I'm working on that. And I mentioned earlier that I'm doing some groups around town, around Cleveland
Yeah.
this year, that are this summer, that are going to be really fun. So it's just going to be small groups of women, and we're going to do some tapping for perimenopause symptoms like brain fog, night sweats, sleep disruption, and all kinds of stuff like that. High anxieties, and I've had all of these. So
I mean,
I can.
but the thing, like I was thinking with that, like with night sweats or brain fog, can tapping get rid of it?
Oh yeah, tapping can definitely help. I mean, I had the worst mosquito bite the other night. I tapped for like 2 minutes, and and the itching went away.
Did you tap
Which
on it?
actually, I did tap next to it, but when you're tapping, when something hurts on you, you're not tapping on the point, on the part that hurts. You're tapping those 9 points that I just
The
spoke
nine
of.
site,
Yeah.
right?
So, but I did tap next to this, next to the mosquito bite, and it helped while I was saying some things. I don't have to be itching. This is ridiculous. I don't have
Hmm.
to focus all my attention on this one mosquito bite.
Right.
So,
I
yeah, I
love
mean,
it.
it really, yeah. So I'll be doing some stuff around Cleveland, and yeah, recording some more episodes of my podcast, which I
Hmm.
think you'll be on one episode
Right.
coming up here. And yeah, that just I'm taking new clients virtually. I see people all over the world. So
Right.
it's even rare that I even see people in my own time zone, it seems like. So
Right.
um, yeah, and you don't have to be local. I see people all over the place. And I'm available more so in the summer because I'm not driving people back and forth to school. So I have some more time on my hands in the summer.
Well, tell everyone where they could find you. So if they wanted to go to any of these in-person classes, if they want to see you on Zoom, is it all through your
Yeah.
website?
Yes. So my website is tapintohealth.net.
Hmm.
You can find me on Instagram. It's tapintohealth underscore EFT. And my podcast, Tap Into Health, is on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you go to my website, you can schedule a free 15-minute discovery call with me to see if we would make a good match to be able to work together. And if you keep looking on my website and my social media page, any local events will be posted there shortly. I know that this event is coming up in July. I'm not sure when this episode's coming out for you,
And
but
June. So, I mean, very
uh,
soon.
very
So,
soon. Okay, so July 12th, I'm doing an event at Ladder at Van Aken, which is a little B certified clothing store. And Dre is the owner there. She's having me and she's hosting me, and I'm going to do some tapping for perimenopause for women
cool.
there.
I'll be there.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Oh, awesome. Well, thanks so much for
Thank
being here today and sharing
you.
your story and wisdom
Sure.
and the powerful work you're doing. And I really wanted to get the word out with what you're doing because it's EFT and hypnotherapy work. And I think just listening to you and a lot of your guests are very healing and great references for people to heal themselves. So I want to thank everyone too for tuning into the Tori Nook Talk Show. And please hit subscribe, rate, and review. As y'all know, it's on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and you can find me at Tori Nook on all my social handles. And see you next time.